Hey guys, for the next project, we're going to draw a bearded man in Adobe Illustrator. You're going to get some artistic freedom with it, but we need to have a few specific parts for this project. Number one, you're going to try and replicate this individual. You're welcome to vary the colors, but he needs to have a pointed beard. So it's kind of like this shield shape. Okay. He needs to have 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 eyebrows, 1 nose, and a smile. So these guys, you can vary how they look a little bit. You want to change the color, you want to change the shape a little bit, go for it. Same with the ears. I'm okay if you change that up a little bit, but I think it's probably easiest to do it my way. But the hair and the beard, I want you to keep relatively simple and relatively similar to what I have. So we're going to get started in Adobe Illustrator. That's my sample that I have already. We're going to start on a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is just like your standard printer paper. So you could type it in here. Make sure it's the tall way, like that. Okay. We're going to start with the beard shape. So in order to do that, we'll start with a rounded rectangle. So like last time, if you don't have it in your toolbox, like I do already, you can hit the 3 dots, find the rounded rectangle, and drag it to your toolbox. Okay. I'm going to pick a brown shade, like a dark brown, but again, you can change the color. I'm totally fine with that. And you want it to be relatively big. I'm going to use my arrow to move it up. Okay. And we are pretty much saving and using like maybe the bottom 2/3 for the beard. So I need to just round these 2 parts. So I'm just going to use my black arrow and draw a box. So that way I've selected the bottom of the beard. And I'm going to use these little dots in the corner to curve the beard in. It looks like right now I selected all of them. I don't want all of them to curve. So let's try that again. Let's use our white arrow instead. There we go. So we needed our white arrow. What we're going to do is pull that little circle in until these 2 little dots at the bottom meet. And we get that kind of outline. And that's perfect. Okay. So zoom in on the bottom, and now you have this point. So you could turn his beard into a little bit more of a shield. So you're going to click on it, and you'll just bring in the handle a little bit to make it more like a shield shape. Now, when I click on this side of the beard, I'm going to do the same thing like that. And my best advice for this is less is more. It's hard to make it even. So you want to make your tweaks as tiny as possible, just so you get that kind of point at the bottom for the beard. I think I have a black outline right now, so I'm going to take that off and make it no fill, just because I like that a little better. All right, that looks a little better. All right, so this is like the base of our project, and now I'm going to add skin. You can totally adjust the skin color, and that's fine by me. I'm going to just pick some of the ones that are in my swatches here, just because it's a little faster for the demo. I think I'll go with something like that. But I want that for my fill. And for most of this project, I'm not going to use a stroke. I'm going to use my rounded rectangle again. Actually, I'll just use my regular one. And I'm just trying to line it up here. But I don't want all of that like excess to hang off. I think I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Okay. So I'm going to select these guys, select both of them using my black arrow, and I'm going to use my shape builder. So it's like a snowman on its side. I'm going to use that to select these pieces on the side here so I can delete them. But selected them so they're separate. Now I can use like my black arrow to click off of it, and I got that separate piece, and I'm able to delete it. So now I have like a face and a beard to start. You can kind of see that the skin part's about 2/3 of, or the skin is about 1/3, and the beard's about maybe like 2/3 of the beard. All right. Next part we're going to move on to are the eyes. You don't have to do anything crazy. You can keep it as simple as just circles. I'll make mine green. Simple circle. No fill. I'm going to hold down my shift key so that way it's round. going to use my black arrow, Alt click, and I'm going to drag it over. And you'll notice there's this little green line that helps me know that they're like in line. You could even use your arrows if you want to drag it over, if that's easier. I'm going to give this dude eyebrows too. I like to use the rounded rectangle, and I'm going to use the same brown for the beard. And I'm just making like a longer shape. Again, you want them to be the same size. So black arrow, Alt click, drag, but you can like tilt and adjust. Oops. Tilt and adjust the eyebrows as you please. All right. Next step is going to be a nose. It doesn't have to be very complex. So I like to just use a rounded rectangle. And I'm going to pick a color a little bit different than the skin, just so it stands out a little bit. I'm just keeping it kind of round like that. Rounded rectangle for the middle. And it hangs onto the beard a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is a mouth. I usually use my pen tool for this, and this is where we don't want to fill. So I'm going to just swap these colors so that way I have no fill and just a stroke. So I'm going to draw dot to another dot here. And you can see this little purple line shows up. I lined it up with the outside of my eyeball. And I'm going to hit escape so that way I break the line off. If you click and hold your pen, you'll see an anchor point tool. For short, we call it the caret, like you do in math. And you can change the smile. You want to make it really smiley, a little smile, whatever you please. You just need some kind of mouth. And I like to click on it with my black arrow. And I usually find I should make it a little thicker. So once I click on it, I can hit the stroke. And that way it's a little bit bolder for you to see. You can change the color too if that makes you happy. Let's move on to some ears. Ears are relatively easy if you use your rounded rectangle tool. So I think I'm going to use the same skin color for the fill, but I'm going to give it a stroke, and maybe I'll make that a little darker. And usually, I mean, if you're working like an actual drawing, your ears start in the middle of the eye and they end at the bottom of the nose. So I'm going to try and line those two up like that. I'm going to thicken my stroke a little too, just so you can see the outline of my ear a little bit. Maybe I'll swap the color so the outline matches the skin like that. I think I like it better that way. So once I'm happy with it, I like to line it up where the middle of this shape lines up with the edge of my face. I'm going to alt click, drag it over. You can see that they're nice and center. One not too tall or too low. I'm using my arrows to line up the center line with the skin here. That looks pretty good. They're in the front though, and you can see that like we want to kind of shove that behind. So I shift click, right click, arrange, send backward, or sometimes you have to do send to back. There's not really a science to that one, unfortunately. Okay. And that looks pretty cool. So if you look at my sample there, I guess I kept the skin color the same on the frame of that one. It's up to you. I don't really have a preference. So you can swap the colors as you choose. Your call. Okay. So we have everything but the hair at this point. The hair is just going to be a simple rectangle and it hangs off the side of his head. So I'll go with the same beard color we were talking about before. And I want that as my fill. And I don't want a stroke on it. So I'm just making a big rectangle that hangs off to the side and sits against this side of the head. So when we look at my sample, the swoopiness of his hair is like this lower part and this upper part. So I'm going to use my white arrow because I'm only dealing with like one piece, one corner. So you can see I clicked on that little white circle and a circle appeared with like a parenthesis under the arrow. And I'm going to drag it in like that. You can use your judgment about how much you want to drag it in. Click again, drag and do the same thing over here. And he gets this kind of swoopy hair. Like I said, you can change the colors as you choose. The key is really that I'm seeing this swoopy shape for the hair, and then I'm seeing like a shield shape for the beard, and that everything is like aligned. I'm not seeing anything hanging off, and that the placement is relatively correct. There really isn't a stroke on anything unless the ears really. Those are the main things I'm looking for in this project. So feel free if you want to add things like pupils or you want to give them earrings or put a hat on top afterwards. Like if you want to keep going, please do. I don't want to stop you. I just want to make sure that like as long as you have those basics, you can enhance it as much as you please. I drew a box around them and moved them into the middle of the page. And then we're pretty good to go. We can save it and we can upload it to Classroom, and I look forward to seeing them.